Hello there, friends. Let's discuss CJ Stroud's rookie cards from the 2023 Panini Prizm Draft Pick Set, card number 102. We've got 4 different cards that we're going to discuss, and we'll find out what they're worth, what we should be getting or asking for them in a show or on eBay, and what we should expect to pay if we're trying to get a deal, right? So let's get on to it. So first things first, let's look at the card. Really nice action set card. I actually really enjoy this card. Why? Because the Ohio State University, prominent uniform, plenty of draw, plenty of Ohio State fans, and even more CJ Stroud fans now because he is crushing it in the league right now. Anyways, let's look at the graph real quick before we get into the numbers. We've got 15 data point sets throughout this video on each card. These are recent sales made on eBay for this card. And as you can see in the graph, we're pretty steady around $10, okay? Beyond that, there's certainly some low ballers here. We've got $5.50 most recently. Also 16, 17.50, and 16 again. So these most likely are people who are chasing those possible PSA 10 grades. So these are people who probably scrutinized things pretty in depth and made a decision to go in heavy on this card. Back up to the numbers here real quick. We've got 5 different colors here: blue, orange, red, yellow, green. These are going to be consistent throughout this video. These are the most important numbers that you will find related to these numbers above. So blue, for instance, $10.79 is the average price paid on eBay for a bid that won the auction, right? So on average, if you bid $10.79, you'd win yourself a CJ Stroud base raw rookie card. Shipping's included there, brings it up to about $13 on average, all in, that the winner had to pay in order to win the card. Now, is this the number that I think this card is worth? Maybe on eBay, but in real life, I'm saying no. Let's look at this orange number. This orange number represents what happens when you take the fees that the auction site charges out of this blue number. So it usually ranges between 13 and 15%. So that gives us down to $9.06. This is what I would say that this raw card is worth in person. Say at a card show, that'd be the number that I would most certainly max out at personally, and that's what this card is worth. Now, as far as offerings, first offer would probably be that 70% price point. As you can see, we've got these broken down up top: 70%, 75%, and 80% of P. Again, that is of this blue number. So $7.55 would be a strong opening offer. You'll probably get rejected on that just based upon pure speculation on where he's headed right now. I would certainly maybe max out here at $8.63, but I like to stay within the bottom third of recent sales. So that gets us down $6.80, right? Which is actually even more, even pretty significantly below this $7.55 mark. As you can tell, those price points up in the $16, $17 range have skewed this significantly higher. So, what are we taking away from this? I'm getting nowhere near the $8.63. I'm probably maxing out at $8.09 if I really like the card. However, if it's significantly off-centered, I'm not going any higher than this green personally. Make sense? Now, as far as selling this card, I like to get in the top third. So that brings us $5. $10.49 might be a nice asking point, and you could sell that card for $8.80. So if you bought in at green or bought in at yellow here, you're probably going to be getting right around $1 in return. However, if you got in that bottom third, that $6.80 point, you're probably making about $2. Simple, right? Now let's apply that to the higher priced cards within this set. This would be potentially an opportunity to make a few more dollars, a bit more bang for your buck per auction or per sale. So Silver Prizm, let's discuss this. I love this card. I think this card is beautiful. Obviously, you do have that hollow throughout. Normally, it's a bit more silver. Kind of really took into effect that hollow effect here, I guess, on this card. So I like this card a lot. I actually like this card throughout Panini's Prizm line for both NBA and football. It's probably my preferred card right now. Blue, $35.50, won you an auction. Orange is going to be $30.50. That's the average price paid, or the average price that the seller, again, is taking home. So things to know when you're at a card show, they're probably going to pull out your comps, right? And they're going to say, well, let's talk about the three most recent. So let's actually sort ascending, make sure this one is in a line here. So they're going to say, well, let's talk about the three most recent, right? And in this one, it's not going to treat you too poorly, okay? It's really not. Because you've got some action and some play in both highs and lows. So yes, those three most recent are going to average out nicely, but what happens when you've got one that skews it entirely? That's why it's important to have a 15 data point set to consider, right? So green, 24.85 is the first offer. Red is your max cap out. Let's look in the bottom third again real quick. Sort ascending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $25.72. So that is my preferred entry point on this card. Exit point is going to be $32.67, or $38 on bid on auction, or in person, $32.67 would be what I'd be looking for, and hopefully pull out $8 in profit. Again, you see, as we go higher up in this card, we have an opportunity to get a bit more return per dollar on the card. Much better than that 80 cents above. But as you can see, we are certainly not as liquid in this card as we were with the base card, which makes sense. Obviously, you've got plenty more of the base cards available. Green Prizm. Now, green is, it's not the worst card. Well, I mean, it's not the worst looking card, I would say, but I'm not a huge fan of the green, especially for the Stroud. I just think the colors aren't as vibrant as they can be with some other uniforms. So I think this card takes a bit of a hit on looks as far as a rookie is concerned. Now, we do have obviously going to be a wider data point set as far as dates are concerned. So this is about a month and a half for these sales. I had a really hard time sorting through these sales because there was some funny business, it seemed like, going on in some of the auctions. So keeping that in mind when you're looking at some data point sets, there certainly can be some people who are trying to manipulate recent sales or trying to bid their own product up, and that's causing some issues within this industry. So I omitted a few of those because there was some funny business going on. We're seeing an average bid price of $23.79 on this card. Obviously, insinuating that this is probably a bit more common than the silver up above as far as price point is concerned, but volume in general seemed to be a little bit lower as far as true sales were concerned on this card as well. So that brings us down to a $20 take for the seller, and the bottom third price point is going to be $17.48. That puts us close to that yellow mark as far as an entry point. So 75% on these Strouds is looking pretty consistent. So if you can get in anywhere beneath 75% so far, you're doing well. And the top third in sales, we are looking at a $26 sale on eBay, netting you a $22.26 after fees. So about a $5 return on this card in green. And last but not least, we've got the CJ Stroud or red cracked ice. This one's going for a little bit more than the others, so that's an interesting value on this card. We do have a few low boys down here that are kind of dragging things down. A high of $53, that low of $21.63. So basically about 150% swing from low to high on this card. But $35.74 is your blue, $30.71 is take home for seller, and the top third is going to be $25.73, so right between yellow and green. So overall, it's looking like Overall, it's looking like 75% right now is the good call for a CJ Stroud rookie card as far as within this Panini Prizm draft pick set. 75% of the average bid price over 15 data point sets. So, what do you think about those valuations on these cards? Whether or not you are in person or on eBay, you certainly have different opportunities in this card to either lose out on a significant amount of money or make nice gains. As you can see, we're looking at about a $6, well, probably a $7 or $8 actually, potential profit if you can get in on the bottom third and get out on the top third on this card. Let me know what you think about this cards, as well as whether or not CJ Stroud is a sound investment right now. Could be that we're riding a very nice high from his performance this year, and we have to keep an eye on not going too deep in on this card. 75% is the valuation, in my opinion. Let me know down below.